My name is Andrea Sinclair. I'm 32 years old. My husband and I saved $120,000 in 4 years. We were 11 days from closing on our first house. Then my parents called. They said it was an emergency. I wired $30,000 before the sun came down. 2 weeks later, my sister posted a photo on Instagram. Marble countertops, gold faucets, a brand new kitchen that looked like it came out of a magazine, and a caption that made my stomach drop. Thanks, Mom and Dad. That photo was not the worst part. When I confronted my parents, their response was 3 words. 3 words that ended 32 years of being a daughter. And what happened at the 4th of July barbecue 3 months later? That's the part none of them saw coming. Welcome back to Calm Drama Stories, where we tell real stories about the family members who were supposed to have your back, and the moment you found out they never did. If you're new here, hit subscribe and stick around because you're going to want to hear every word of this one. Now, let's get into it. I grew up in a small town outside Richmond, Virginia. My dad, Robert, was an electrician. My mom, Linda, stayed home and ran the house like a 4-star general. Everything had a system. Chores, curfews, who sat where at dinner. I paid my own way through college. Scholarships covered tuition. I covered everything else. Bartending 3 nights a week, tutoring on Saturdays, sleeping 5 hours a night for 4 straight years. Nobody in my family helped. Nobody offered. I graduated with a degree in civil engineering and 0 debt. And I did it by myself. I met Drew when I was 26. Quiet guy, IT project manager, the kind of man who shows up early and never raises his voice. We got married when I was 28. Small ceremony at the courthouse, dinner afterward at an Italian place with 12 people. We paid for everything ourselves, $4,000 total. The day we got home from our honeymoon, 3 nights in a cabin outside Shenandoah. We sat at the kitchen table and opened a savings account. One goal, a house, $2,500 a month every month. No exceptions, no vacations, no new car, not dinners out unless someone else was paying. 4 years of saying no to everything we wanted so we could have the one thing we needed. By February, we had $120,000. I used to picture holding the keys, feeling the weight of them in my palm. 2 keys on a plain metal ring. I imagined it every night before I fell asleep. What I didn't picture was what my family would do to take it away. $120,000, $4 years, and it almost disappeared in a single phone call. Let me tell you about my sister. Megan is 4 years younger than me, 28, married to Kyle, a plumber who makes about $75,000 a year. Decent money, nothing to complain about. They have 2 kids, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. Megan doesn't work. She stays home, that's fine, that's her choice. But in my mother's eyes, Megan's choice made her the one who needed things. My parents paid for Megan's wedding. $22,000 live band, matching bridesmaids, open bar, the whole show. When Drew and I got married at the courthouse, my mom said, "Well, that's nice, at least it was simple." When Megan and Kyle bought their house, my parents helped with the down payment. When Drew and I started saving for ours, nobody asked how it was going. Nobody offered $1. My mom's explanation was always the same. Megan has kids. She needs help. You're fine on your own. I never argued. I told myself it was a compliment. Being self-sufficient meant being strong. Being overlooked meant being trusted. I believed that for a long time, too long, I wasn't the difficult daughter. I wasn't the dramatic one. I was the one who never called crying at midnight, never bounced a check, never needed bailing out. And because I never needed anything, my parents decided I didn't deserve anything either. I should have seen it for what it was. A pattern, a system. And inside that system, I had one role. The one who gives, the one who doesn't ask questions, the one who always sends the money. But patterns don't break until they break you first. March 14th, Thursday night, 9:47, my phone rang. Dad's name on the screen. He almost never called this late. I picked up on the second ring. His voice was shaking. "Andrea, honey, we need help." I sat up straighter. What happened? The furnace died. Middle of the night, just quit. Pipes froze before we caught it. The whole basement flooded. There's water everywhere. Mold is already starting on the south wall. I could hear my mother in the background crying or something that sounded like crying. "We called a contractor this morning," Dad said. "He walked through the house and gave us a number. Furnace replacement, pipe repair, mold remediation, drywall, all of it. How much? $30,000. I closed my eyes. $30,000. I'm a civil engineer. I estimate costs for a living. Furnace replacement runs 8 to 12,000. Pipe repair and water damage another 10 to 15. Mold remediation depending on spread 5 to 8. The number tracked, it made sense. "Your mother and I don't have it," Dad said. "We used our savings last year for Megan's medical bills." Another thing I hadn't been told about, another bill that apparently only my parents could handle. We didn't know who else to call. "Sweetheart, your mother can't sleep. She's been crying all day." I looked across the room at Drew. He was watching me. He already knew. "How soon do you need it?" I asked. "The contractor said if we don't start this week, the mold spreads into the ductwork. Then it's 60,000. I didn't hesitate. I didn't ask for paperwork. I didn't ask for a contractor's name. "I'll send it tomorrow morning." I said yes before I hung up the phone. Drew sat on the edge of the bed, arms on his knees, looking at the floor. "That's our house money, Andrea, I know." $30,000. That's a quarter of everything we saved. I know Drew. He wasn't angry. That's not how Drew works. He gets quiet. The quieter he gets, the more he's thinking. And right now, he wasn't saying a word. They're my parents. I said if their basement is flooding and mold is spreading into the walls, I can't just sit here. I'm not saying don't help. I'm saying 30,000 is not a small favor. That's 3+ years of weekends we didn't take, vacations we skipped, dinners we cooked at home. He was right. I knew he was right. We talked about it for an hour. We made a plan. We'd send the 30,000. My parents would pay it back over 12 months. $2,500 a month, no interest, no paperwork because it's family. Drew didn't love it, but Harris respected it. If this were my parents, he said, I'd do the same. That night, I called our realtor, told her we needed to push the closing back. She paused. "Andrea, the sellers have another offer on the table. If you delay, they might take it. How long do we have? Maybe a week, maybe less." I told her we'd try. I told her we'd figure it out. I hung up and stared at the ceiling for a very long time. The house with 3 bedrooms and a white fence and a yard for the dog we'd been talking about. That house was slipping away, and I was letting it go because my parents asked me to. Family pays you back, that's what I told myself. Family did pay me back, just not in the currency I expected. Friday morning, 7:15. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open and the banking app loaded. Drew was already at work. The house was quiet. I typed in the amount, $30,000. Routing number, account name, Robert and Linda Sinclair. I double-checked everything, then I hit send. The confirmation email arrived 11 seconds later. Wire transfer of $30,000 to Robert and Linda Sinclair. Completed. I stared at that screen. The number in our savings account had dropped from 120,000 to 90,000. 4 years of discipline gone in 12 seconds. I took a screenshot of the confirmation, sent it to my dad. "Done. Let me know when the contractor starts." He replied within a minute. "God bless you, sweetheart. We'll pay you back every penny." That afternoon, Mom called. She was crying again or performing it. I couldn't tell the difference at the time. "You saved us, Andrea. I don't know what we'd do without you. You're the strong one. You've always been the strong one, the strong one." That was her word for it. Not generous, not sacrificing, strong like it cost me nothing. Like the money just appeared because I was built to produce it. But I didn't say that. I said, "You're welcome, Mom. Just get the basement fixed." For one afternoon, I felt like I mattered to them. Like the phone call and the wire transfer and the sacrifice had earned me a seat at the table I'd been missing for years. I thought maybe this was the thing that would finally make them see me. That feeling lasted exactly 14 days. The first week I didn't think much of it. They were busy. Contractors coming and going, dealing with insurance probably. I sent a text on Tuesday. "How's the contractor doing, Dad?" Read. No reply. 2 days later. "Mom, is the basement fixed?" 6 hours passed. "Then we're handling it, honey." No photos, no invoices. No name of the contractor, noop date on the mold, the pipes, the furnace, nothing. Drew noticed before I did. He's the one who said it out loud. Have you noticed they haven't sent a single photo? I was chopping onions for dinner. I stopped. What do you mean? Your dad said the whole basement was flooded, mold on the walls, a contractor ripping things out, and nobody's taken one photo. No before and after, no progress shot, nothing. I set the knife down. There's 60, Drew. They don't take photos of plumbing. Your mom takes photos of every casserole she makes. She posted 3 pictures of a new mailbox last year, but a $30,000 basement renovation, nothing. He had a point. I didn't want him to have a point. I'm sure it's fine, I said. I'm not saying they're lying. I'm saying something doesn't add up. I picked the knife back up, finished the onions, changed the subject, but the seed was planted. A tiny crack in the wall of trust I'd built around my parents. Just enough to let the light in. The next Sunday, I was on the couch, sweatpants, coffee going cold on the end table. I opened Instagram the way you do, and you're not looking for anything, just scrolling, letting the algorithm decide. Then I saw it. But first, the house. Our realtor called that Monday, 2 days before Instagram changed everything. Her voice was careful, the way people sound when they are delivering news they've rehearsed. Andrea, the sellers accepted another offer. I'm sorry. Gone. The 3-bedroom house with the white fencing, the yard, and the street that dead ended into a park. Someone else's keys now, someone else's mailbox. I stood in the parking lot outside my office. Lunch hour. Cars pulling in and out around me. I looked at my phone. $90,000 in savings, 30,000 of it missing. And the house, the whole reason for 4 years of sacrifice, belonged to someone else. I didn't cry. I'm not a crier. I sat in my car and gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles went white. And then I drove back to the office and finished my afternoon. Drew didn't say much that night. He opened the savings app on his phone, looked at the number, closed it, opened it again. He did that 3 times during dinner. We didn't fight. That's how you know something is really wrong in a marriage, when there's nothing left to argue about because the damage is already done. We'll save it back, I said. I know. 3 months, maybe 4, with the promotion cycle coming up. I know, Andrea. I stopped picturing the keys after that. It hurt too much. Every time I imagined them in my palm, I saw a wire confirmation instead. $30,000 and 0 sent to the people I trusted most in the world. The money would come back. My parents would repay it. I just had to be patient. I was still telling myself that when I opened Instagram the next Sunday afternoon, couch, sweatpants, coffee, same routine. Megan's post was 6 photos in a carousel. I almost scrolled past it. Almost. The first photo stopped me cold. A kitchen, but not any kitchen. Floor to ceiling, white cabinetry, a waterfall island with Calcutta marble, gold fixtures, faucet, cabinet poles, pendant lights, a farmhouse sink so knew it still had the sticker residue on the basin. Second photo. Megan standing in the middle of it, arms wide open, grinning like she'd won a game show. Her 2 kids sat on the island, legs dangling, matching pajamas. Third photo, close-up of the countertop. The marble veining caught the window light. A vase of white peonies sat next to a gold-trimmed soap dispenser. The caption, "New kitchen, new life. Marble countertops and gold fixtures. I've been dreaming of this for years. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for making it happen. Thanks, Mom and Dad." I read it 3 times, then a 4th. Thanks, Mom and Dad. The ones with the flooded basement. The ones who couldn't afford a furnace. The ones who called me at 9:47 on a Thursday night with shaking voices and tears in the background. My hands started trembling. Not anger. Something deeper than anger. The specific kind of trembling that happens when your body understands something before your brain catches up. When every assumption you've carried about people, about your own parents, cracks in half like a plate dropped on tile. I set the phone down, picked it up, set it down again. Then I did the only thing I could think of. I took a screenshot. I pinch-zoomed every single photo, counted everything. Calcutta marble countertops, at least 60 FT at $28 per square foot. Gold cabinet hardware on 42 doors and drawers. 3 pendant lights over the island. Farmhouse sink. Apron front probably $800 alone. Custom backsplash. New flooring, I'm a civil engineer, I estimate costs for a living. This kitchen renovation was $35,000 minimum, possibly 40, and my sister had captioned it. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Drew. He came in from the bedroom. I held out the phone without a word. He looked at the screen, swiped through the photos, read the caption, then he stood completely still for about 15 seconds. I counted. Call your mother, he said. Not yet. I opened the banking app. The confirmation email was still there. Wire transfer of $30,000. Completed March 15th. I placed it next to the Instagram screenshot in my mind. The transfer on one side, the marble countertops on the other. The numbers told a story, and it wasn't about a broken furnace. I didn't call, I didn't yell. I opened iMessage, attached 3 screenshots, the kitchen photos, the caption, and the wire transfer confirmation, and sent them to my parents' group thread. No text, no emoji, no question marks, just the pictures. Let the pictures talk. Read 10:14 in the morning. No reply at 11. No reply at noon. No reply at 1. 3 hours of silence from 2 people who always had something to say. 3 hours of my parents staring at the evidence on their phones, trying to figure out how to spin a lie when the truth was sitting right next to it in high definition. 1:22 in the afternoon. Mom's name on the screen. I picked up Andrea. Before you say anything, where did the $30,000 go, Mom? It went to the house. We fixed the furnace and the pipes. And then there was leftover from a $30,000 emergency. Enough leftover for a $40,000 kitchen renovation. Silence. 5 seconds. I heard her breathing change. She switched tactics. Her voice softened, went higher. The way she sounds when she's performing something. Megan needed a kitchen, Andrea. Her old one was falling apart. The stove barely worked. The kids were eating cold food half the time. So you lied to me about an emergency. It was an emergency. Your sister's family was living in conditions. You had Dad call me and say the furnace broke, the pipes froze, the basement flooded. None of that happened. We knew you wouldn't send the money if we told you what it was really for. There it was. Casual, almost matter-of-fact, like she was explaining a coupon strategy or a shortcut through town. We knew you wouldn't send the money if we told you. You're right. I said I wouldn't have. See, that's exactly the problem, Andrea. Your sister needed help and you wouldn't have helped her. What kind of sister? What kind of parents lie to their daughter to steal her house savings? We didn't steal anything. You offered that money. I offered it for a flooded basement, not marble countertops. Silence again. Longer this time. Then my mother's voice came back harder, colder, stripped of the performance. Andrea, I want you to listen to me. I'm listening. Then she said 3 words and everything changed. She deserved it. 3 words, flat, no hesitation, no apology underneath. No, but let me explain. Just a verdict delivered like she'd been rehearsing it since the moment that wire transfer cleared. She deserved it. Not, we're sorry, not, we'll pay you back, not, we made a mistake. She deserved it. I held the phone against my ear and didn't speak for 10 full seconds. The kitchen clock ticked. The refrigerator hummed. Somewhere outside, a neighbor's dog barked twice. 3 words, I said quietly. That's all it took to end 32 years of being your daughter. Don't be dramatic, Andrea. Megan has 2 kids. She has a mortgage. She needed I hung up. I set the phone on the kitchen counter face down, and I stood there, I don't know for how long. 5 minutes, maybe 10, just standing in my kitchen, laminate countertops, 7-year-old stove, a faucet that drips if you don't push the handle all the way left, no marble, no gold fixtures, nothing that sparkled. Drew found me like that, standing, staring out the window above the sink. What did she say? I told him. 3 words. She deserved it. Drew's jaw tightened. He set his keys on the counter next to my phone. Then we're done. We're getting that money back. I shook my head. We're not getting it back, Drew. It's already marble countertops. It's already gold faucets and pendant lights and a farmhouse sink. Then they need to know what it costs them. They don't care what it cost us. No, what it costs them. The phone calls didn't stop after that. They were just getting started. 3 days later, Dad called. His voice was the careful kind. The kind you use when someone else wrote the script and you're just reading it. Your mother is very upset, Andrea. She didn't mean it the way it sounded. Which part? The lying or the she deserved it? She's your mother. She was trying to help both of you in her own way. She helped one of us, Dad, with the other one's money. He didn't have an answer for that. He stammered something about talking to Mom, working it out, giving it time. I let him talk. None of it landed. That same afternoon, Megan texted. Mom told me you're upset about the kitchen. Honestly, Andrea, it wasn't that much money. You and Drew make good money. We don't. I stared at her message for a long time. Kyle makes $75,000 a year as a plumber. They have a paid-off truck and a mortgage at 3.8%. 8%. They aren't starving. They just wanted marble. I didn't reply. That night, Mom called again. No tears this time, no performance. She came in sharp. You need to let this go, Andrea. Family doesn't keep score. Family doesn't lie either. I am not going to apologize for helping your sister. If that's what you're waiting for, you'll wait forever. I hung up. Set the phone face down. Same counter, same spot. Drew looked at me from across the room. You okay? I'm not surprised. That's the part that hurts the most. I'm not even surprised. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay awake until 2 a.m, not angry. Something worse, clear. The fog I'd been living in for 32 years had finally burned off, and I didn't like what was underneath. I realized I wasn't surprised because I'd always known. Wednesday morning, 7:18. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. A forwarded message from Dad. I could tell immediately it wasn't meant for me. The text above the forward said, "Did you tell Andrea about the chat? Your mother's going to lose it." He'd sent it to the wrong daughter. My name, Megan's name. Both start with a vowel sitting right next to each other in his contacts. One slip of the thumb. Below the forward was a group chat thread. 3 participants. Mom, Dad, Megan. The first message was dated 6 weeks before Dad called me about the furnace. I sat up in bed. Drew was in the shower. I read every word. Linda. Megan found the countertops she wants. Calcutta marble. $28 per square foot. We need at least $30,000. Robert, we don't have that kind of money, Lynn. Linda, Andrea does. Robert, she's saving for a house. Linda, Andrea won't even notice. Andrea won't even notice. My own mother typing those words with her thumbs, pressing send without flinching. Megan, just tell her the furnace broke. She'll send it. She always does. She always does. 4 words that summed up my entire role in this family. Linda, I'll have your father call. She trusts him more. Planned, every detail. The shaking voice, the crying in the background, the furnace, the pipes, the mold, all of it. My father's phone call wasn't panic, it was a script. And my mother was the one holding the pen. I screenshot every message, saved them to a folder, locked my phone. Drew came out of the bathroom, towel around his shoulders. You look like you just got hit by something. I did. Sit down. I showed Drew everything. He read the thread twice, set the phone on the bed, pressed both palms against his eyes, and held them there for a long time. They planned it, he said, 6 weeks in advance. Your father rehearsed that phone call. My mother told him what to say. Dad realized his mistake around 11. 6 missed calls, then a text. Andrea, please call me. That wasn't meant for you. I can explain. I wrote back 1 sentence. There's nothing to explain, Dad. I read everything. Mom called that afternoon. I picked up. She came in swinging. Your father made a mistake forwarding that. You're taking it out of context. What context makes Andrea won't even notice acceptable? I meant you wouldn't notice because you have so much. You make 6 figures, Andrea. Megan's husband is a plumber. Kyle makes $7,500 a year. That's not poverty. You don't know what it's like to raise 2 kids on 1 income. You're right. I don't, because instead of buying a house and starting a family, I sent my house money to you for a furnace that never broke. Silence then. You've always been jealous of your sister. Always. I wasn't jealous of Megan, Mom. I was jealous of the version of my parents I thought I had. She hung up on me. I sat on the bed for a while. My phone was still open to the group chat. Andrea won't even notice. I read it 1 more time, then closed the screen. That night, Drew read the thread again, set the phone down, looked at me. July 4th is at your Aunt Martha's this year, right? Yes, we should go. Saturday, Megan called. I almost let it go to voicemail. Almost. Mom says you're being dramatic about this whole thing. It's just a kitchen. Andrea, it's $30,000. Megan, my $30,000. Our parents help me because I need it. I have 2 kids, a mortgage. Kyle's truck payment just went up. You have no idea what it's like. I have a savings account that's $30,000 lighter because you wanted Calicotta marble. She laughed, actually laughed. A short, sharp sound that told me everything I needed to know about how she saw me. A wallet, an ATM, a vending machine that dispenses cash when you push the right buttons. You don't even have kids. What do you need a house for? The words landed like a slap. Clean, direct, no room for interpretation. I need a house because I earned one. You're so selfish. Mom was right about you. What did Mom say about me? Silence. She realized she'd gone too far. Nothing, forget it. No, what did she say? Click. I was parked outside a grocery store, engine off, hands on the steering wheel. I sat there for a long time watching people load bags into their trunks. Normal people with normal families who probably didn't scheme in group chats about how to steal from each other. Something shifted that afternoon. I can't describe it exactly. The anger didn't disappear. It just changed shape. Became something quieter, denser, like water turning to ice. Still the same substance, but harder now and clear, perfectly clear. I stopped trying to get my money back. The money was marble countertops now. You can't unmarble a countertop. I started thinking about something else entirely. 3 words. She deserved it. Those 3 words rewired something inside me. Not rage, clarity. If you've ever had someone in your family treat your generosity like an obligation, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Drop a comment and tell me. Have you ever been the family ATM? Hit subscribe so you don't miss what happened at the 4th of July barbecue. Now, while I was processing the group chat and Megan's phone call, my mother was busy doing what she does best, managing the narrative. She called everyone. Every aunt, uncle, and cousin with a working phone number got Linda Sinclair's version of events. And that version went like this. Andrea is punishing us because we helped Megan with a small home improvement. She's always been jealous of her sister. A small home improvement. $30,000 of someone else's money for Kolkata marble. And my mother called it a small home improvement. Cousin Rachel texted me first. Your mom called. She's really upset. Maybe you should just let it go. Uncle Jim followed. Family is family, Andrea. Don't hold grudges. Then 2 more cousins. Then my mother's friend Diane, who apparently has my number. Every message was a version of the same script. Andrea is being difficult. Andrea is overreacting. Andrea should forgive and move on. Nobody mentioned the $30,000. Nobody mentioned the fake emergency. Nobody mentioned the group chat because my mother hadn't told them any of that. I could have sent the screenshots to every single one of them. I could have forwarded the group chat to the entire family in 30 seconds and let the truth do what the truth does. I didn't. Not yet. July 4th was 10 weeks away. The pressure campaign worked, at least on the surface. Phone calls stopped coming my way. Invitations dried up. Cousin Rachel's weekly thinking of you texts disappeared. Then Megan removed me from the family group chat. I found out when a cousin mentioned something that had been shared there and I had no idea what she was talking about. Check the chat, Rachel said. There was no chat, not for me, not anymore. Mother's Day came. I sent flowers, leaves, and white roses. $65, same arrangement as every year. Mom didn't call to say thank you, didn't text, nothing. At work, things moved in the opposite direction. I got a promotion, senior project engineer, salary bump of $18,000 a year. My boss told me in his office with the door closed, "You're one of the most reliable people I've ever worked with, Andrea." Reliable? That word again. I didn't tell my family about the promotion. There was no family to tell. Drew and I recalibrated. 90. 0 plus the new salary meant we could rebuild faster 2,500 a month. Same as before, but now with a cushion. Target, back to 120,000 by December. The silence from my parents was painful, but it was productive. I stopped pouring energy into people who treated it like a refund. I poured it into the life Drew and I were building instead. In late May, Aunt Martha called. My mom's older sister, 62, sensible, the kind of woman who makes cornbread from scratch and says exactly what she means. Andrea, honey, I heard your mother's version of what happened. I want to hear yours, idled her everything. The money, the lie, the group chat, the 3 words. Martha went quiet. Then she said something that changed my understanding of my own family. She did the same thing to me. Martha's voice was flat, not angry, tired. The kind of tired that comes from holding a secret for 5 years because you don't want to cause a scene. 5 years ago, Martha said, "Your mother told me your father needed $8,000 to fix his truck. Transmission was shot." She said he needed it for work. I sent the money next day. And 2 months later, I saw the photos from Megan's wedding. $22,000 live band, open bar, matching bridesmaid dresses, and your mother never mentioned the truck again. Did you ask her about it? Once she said Robert fixed it himself, changed the subject. I let it go because she's my sister and I didn't want to ruin Thanksgiving. I sat with that for a moment. $8,000, a fictional truck repair, the same playbook, the same script. She's been doing this for years, I said, longer than you think. Your grandmother used to say Linda always found a way to get what she wanted. She just got better at it. Martha paused. I could hear her stirring something in the background. Iced tea, probably. She always makes iced tea when she's thinking. I've been quiet for 5 years, Andrea. I watched your mother tell the family you're the problem, and I know that's not the truth because I've been where you are. What are you saying? I'm hosting the 4th of July barbecue this year at me place. I want you and Drew there. Mom and Dad will be there. Yes, they will. And Megan? Yes. Martha, I don't want to cause. You're not causing anything. You're showing up. There's a difference. July 4th was 6 weeks away. Every Sunday, like clockwork, Megan posted another photo of that kitchen, baking cupcakes in my dream kitchen. Caption with a heart emoji, 47 likes. Sunday brunch at the Marble Island. Photo of eggs Benedict on a gold-rimmed plate. 63 likes. Best decision we ever made. Close-up of the backsplash tile catching morning light. 51 likes. I didn't unfollow her. I didn't block her. I saved every single post to the same folder where I kept the group chat screenshots and the wire confirmation. I don't know why. Maybe I needed the proof to stay sharp. Maybe I needed to remember exactly what $30,000 looked like when it was installed in someone else's house. Drew caught me scrolling one night. 11:30, phone under the blanket like a teenager. You're torturing yourself. No, I'm remembering. That's the same thing. He wasn't wrong, but I couldn't stop. Every post was a reminder. Every cupcake on that marble countertop, every brunch on that island, my money, my 4 years baked into Megan's Instagram aesthetic. At work, I threw myself into a bridge design project. $4.2 million, $16 months, 47 team members. My boss called it career-defining. I called it something to do with my hands so I don't check Instagram every hour. One night in mid-June, Dad sent a text. Thinking of you, sweetheart. 5 words, no apology, no mention of the money or the lie or the group chat, just thinking of you. As if thought alone was enough, I read it, didn't reply. The barbecue was 3 weeks away. I still hadn't decided what I was going to do when I got there. I just knew I was going. Drew and I talked about it on a Tuesday night. Dishes done, TV off. Both of us sitting at the kitchen table the way we do when something matters. We don't have to go, he said. If I don't go, Mom wins. She controls the story. I'm the ungrateful daughter who disappeared, the jealous one. The one who chose money over family. So what do you want? I want the truth to exist out loud. Not in screenshots on my phone. Not in a conversation between me and Martha. Out loud in front of the people Mom lied to. And if nobody believes you, then at least I said it. Drew nodded slow. The way he does when he's made his decision but wants you to think he's still considering. Then we go. I wasn't planning revenge. I need you to understand that. I wasn't building a trap or rehearsing a speech. I was preparing for the possibility that I'd have to defend myself in front of people who'd only heard one side of the story. I printed the group chat screenshots, not because I wanted drama, because Aunt Martha's house sits on 12 acres in rural Virginia, and cell service out there is unreliable at best. If I needed to show someone the messages, I didn't want to depend on 2 bars of signal. 3 pages folded neatly, tucked into the side pocket of my bag. Drew watched me fold them. You're really doing this, only if I have to. If Mom stays quiet, I stay quiet. If she comes at me, I'm not running. He picked up his keys, looked at me. You nervous? No, I'm tired. Tired of being the one who keeps the peace while everyone else breaks it. July 4th arrived. 92 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. We drove 45 minutes on two-lane roads through green Virginia countryside, past horse farms and churches, and hand-painted signs selling sweet corn for $3 a bag. Martha's house sat at the end of a gravel road, white clapboard, wide porch, a yard big enough for 3 picnic tables end to end. We were the last ones to arrive. I counted cars in the driveway, Martha and Uncle George, cousin Rachel and her husband, Uncle Jim, 3 other couples from the extended family, Mom's silver Camry, Megan's white SUV, 14 adults, 3 kids, and me. Drew squeezed my hand before we got out of the car, didn't say anything, didn't need to. Martha met Yus at the porch steps, hugged me tight, whispered, "You're doing fine." Then louder, "Burgers are almost ready. Grab a plate." I walked into the backyard. Mom saw me first. She was standing near the drink table, lemonade in hand. Our eyes met. She turned away. Dad was at the grill with Uncle George. He looked up, nodded once, then went back to flipping burgers. He didn't come over. Megan was sitting at the far table with Kyle and the kids. She glanced up, smiled tight, practiced. "Oh, you came. Happy 4th, Megan." 2 hours passed. Hamburgers and corn on the cob and Kleslaw and baked beans. The kids ran circles in the yard. Somebody put on country music from a Bluetooth speaker. Uncle Jim told a fishing story he's told 9 times. Normal, all of it perfectly, carefully normal. I sat with Martha and Drew. We talked about her tomato garden and the heat and a stray cat that had been sleeping on her porch. Nobody mentioned money. Nobody mentioned kitchens. Nobody mentioned group chats. Then Megan said something to cousin Rachel that made my jaw tighten. "You should come see the new kitchen, Rachel. The marble is gorgeous." I should back up. 1 week before the barbecue, I'd sent my parents an email. Formal, professional, the kind I write at work when I need a paper trail. Subject line, repayment request, $30,000 wire transfer. Body. This email serves as a formal request for the repayment of $30,000 wired to Robert and Linda Sinclair on March 15th. Funds were provided under the explicit representation that they would be used for emergency home repairs, which did not occur. Attached. Bank wire transfer confirmation requested repayment deadline September 1st. The confirmation email, my sensory anchor. The same 12-second transaction I'd been carrying for 4 months now attached to a formal demand. Mom replied through Dad's email. 1 paragraph. "We are not paying you back for helping your sister. That money was a gift. You offered it willingly. We refused to be treated like criminals by our own daughter." I replied I offered it for a furnace repair, not a kitchen renovation. The stated emergency was fabricated. I have the group chat messages to prove it. 5 days, no response. Now back at the barbecue, 3:45 in the afternoon. The sun was still high. The kids were chasing fireflies that hadn't come out yet. The speaker was playing something by Zac Brown Band. My mother sat down her lemonade, stood up, smoothed her blouse, and walked to the head of the longest picnic table. "Can I have everyone's attention for a minute?" The yard got quiet. 14 faces turned her way. Martha looked at me across the table. Drew's hand found my knee underneath. My mother raised her glass. "I just want to say how grateful I am for this family. And I knew the way you know weather is about to turn that she wasn't about to talk about gratitude. Family is everything." Mom said lemonade in her right hand. Left hand pressed against her chest, eyes scanning the tables like a pastor working a congregation. "I want to thank Martha for hosting, for always opening her home, for reminding us what it means to show up for each other." Martha didn't smile. She watched. "Robert and I have always tried to help both our girls equally, fairly. That's what parents do." She paused, looked directly at me, held it, then away. "But sometimes one of your children decides that money matters more than family, that keeping score is more important than keeping the peace." Uncle Jim shifted in his chair. Cousin Rachel stared at her plate. Some people would rather hold a grudge than hold their family close, and that breaks a mother's heart. She wiped her eye with the back of her hand. Perfectly timed, perfectly placed. Megan nodded from the far table. Kyle looked at his shoes. So today, I just want to say to all of you that Robert and I are grateful for the family members who understand what family really means, who don't put a price tag on love. She raised her glass. Half the table raised theirs. The other half didn't move. She sat down. Drew's hand tightened on my knee. My mother had just called me greedy, selfish, and ungrateful in front of 14 people. Without using my name, without explaining what she'd done, without mentioning the $30,000, the fake emergency, the group chat, or the 3 words she'd said on the phone. And she'd done it with a lemonade in her hand and a tear in her eye. If you've ever been the scapegoat at a family gathering, you know this feeling. The room tilts, the air goes thin, and you have 2 choices, sit down or stand up. I reached into my bag. I stood up slowly. No rush, no theatrics. Just stood up the way you stand up when you've decided something and you're not changing your mind. Every face turned. "Mom," I said. My voice was even. Normal volume, the same tone I use in project meetings when I'm presenting cost estimates. Since we're talking about family and money, I think everyone here deserves the full story. Mom's expression locked. "Andrea, sit down." In March, I continued. Dad called me at 9:47 on a Thursday night. He told me the furnace broke, the pipes froze, and the basement flooded. He said they needed $30,000 for emergency repairs. I sent it the next morning. The yard was silent, no music. Someone had turned off the speaker. Even the kids had stopped running. Uncle Jim leaned forward. $30,000. $30,000 from the savings account my husband and I spent 4 years building for our first house. Cousin Rachel. Wait, what house? The house we lost. Because I sent the money to my parents for an emergency that never existed. Mom stood. "That is enough, Andrea." 2 weeks later, I said. My sister posted photos of a brand new kitchen on Instagram. Marble countertops, gold fixtures, captioned, "Thanks, Mom and Dad." Every head at those tables turned to Mom, to Megan, back to me. "Cousin Rachel, is that you're saying the money went to Megan's kitchen?" I nodded. There was no broken furnace, no frozen pipes, no flooded basement. They made it up. Mom's voice went high and sharp. "You don't know what you're talking about. You're twisting." "I'm not twisting anything, and I can prove it." I pulled out the folded pages from my bag. 3 pages printed, folded in thirds. I smoothed them on the table in front of me. This is a group chat between Mom, Dad, and Megan. It started 6 weeks before Dad called me about the furnace. Dad forwarded it to me by accident in April. I read the first message, my voice steady, no dramatic pauses, no trembling like reading a report. "Mom to the group. Megan found the countertop she wants. Calata marble, $28 per square foot. We need at least 30,000. Uncle George set down his fork. Dad's reply, "We don't have that kind of money, Lynn. Mom, Andrea does." Rachel's hand went to her mouth. "Dad, she's saving for a house." I paused, looked up. My mother was standing 3 ft from her chair. Lemonade abandoned, face white. Mom's reply, "Andrea won't even notice." The yard went dead. No sound except the cicadas in the treane and a kid's rubber ball rolling across the grass. "Uncle Jim, Linda, tell me that's not real." "It's real," I said, "and there's more." Megan's message to the group, "Just tell her the furnace broke. She'll send it. She always does." Someone at the far table exhaled sharply. Mom's final message in the thread, "I'll have your father call. She trusts him more." I set the pages on the table, face up for anyone who wanted to read them. My father called me that Thursday night because my mother told him to. The shaking voice, the tears in the background, all of it rehearsed, all of it planned to get $30,000 from me for my sister's kitchen renovation. Dad put his head in his hands. He didn't look up. Megan jumped up. Chair scraped against the patio. That was a private conversation. So was the phone call where Dad lied to me about a flooded basement. I said, Uncle Jim stood halfway, then sat back down. "Linda, $30,000. You told your daughter the house was flooding." Mom found her voice. It came back loud and dragged. "You're twisting everything. We were going to pay her back. Tell them, Robert." Dad kept his face in his hands, said nothing. 3 weeks ago, I said I sent a formal email requesting repayment. Mom replied through Dad's email that the money was a gift, that I offered it willingly. She refused to pay back a single dollar. Cousin Rachel, you said it was a gift. Mom, she did offer. Nobody forced her. Nobody told me the truth either. Martha spoke for the first time. She'd been sitting with her arms crossed, watching her sister the way you watch a pot that's about to boil over. Linda. Martha's voice was calm, almost gentle. You did the same thing to me. 5 years ago, you told me Robert needed $8,000 for his truck. I gave it to you. 2 months later, I saw the wedding photos. $22,000 reception, live band, open bar, the yard erupted. 3 conversations at once. Rachel, is that true? Aunt Linda, Uncle Jim, how much money? Someone else. 8,000. Mom turned on Martha. How could you, Martha? That was between us. That was family business. Martha didn't raise her voice. It was the same script, Linda. Different actress, different audience, same lie. Mom looked around the yard. Every face was turned toward her, and not one of them was sympathetic. Megan tried one more time, tears running, voice cracking. It was just a kitchen. I have 2 kids, Andrea. My kitchen was falling apart. Your kitchen wasn't falling apart, Megan. Your old kitchen had a working stove, a dishwasher, and Granitec on her tops from 2019. I know because I helped Kyle install them. Megan opened her mouth, closed it, sat down. Kyle stared at the ground. He hadn't said a word the entire time. I wondered how much he'd known. I decided it didn't matter. Dad finally raised his head. His eyes were red. His voice was quiet. The real kind of quiet, not the rehearsed kind. I'm sorry, Andrea. Your mother asked me to make the call. I shouldn't have lied to you. I should have said no. Mom spun on him. Don't you dare blame Ethes on me in front of everyone, Robert. I'm not blaming you. I'm telling the truth. Something we should have done from the beginning. Mom's face crumpled. Not anger now, something raw. Her voice cracked in a way I hadn't heard before. I just wanted both my girls to have nice things. Is that so wrong? I'm a mother, that's what mothers do, for 1 second. 1 single second. I saw her. Not the manipulator, not the liar. A 68-year-old woman who convinced herself that the ends justified the means. Who genuinely believed she was helping, who couldn't see the wreckage because she was too busy decorating the house she'd built from other people's money. 1 second of sympathy. Then I remembered the 3 words. No, Mom, wanting nice things isn't wrong, lying to get them is. And telling me she deserved it. When I asked where my money went, that was the moment you chose. You chose which daughter mattered more. I folded the pages, put them back in my bag, zipped it shut. I want to be clear about something. My voice was steady, same volume as every sentence I'd spoken. No louder, no softer. I didn't come here to humiliate anyone. I came here because my mother stood at the head of this table and told this family that I put money above people, that I hold grudges, that I don't understand what family means. And I needed you to hear what actually happened. I looked at Mom. I'm not asking for the money back anymore. I'll earn it again. I always do. I looked at Dad. I know she asked you to make the call, Dad, but you still dialed the number. I looked at Megan. And Megan, I don't need kids to deserve a home. I just need to not be lied to by the people who are supposed to love me. Megan looked at her hands. She didn't answer. I picked up my bag. Drew stood beside me. He hadn't said a single word the whole time. He didn't need to. I turned to Martha. Thank you for the burger, Aunt Martha. It was really good. Martha's eyes were wet. She smiled. It was, wasn't it? We walked through Thayard, past the picnic tables, past the grill, past 14 people who were now looking at my mother the way I'd been looking at her for 4 months. Nobody followed us. Nobody called out. The car doors closed. Engine started. Gravel crunched under the tires as we pulled down the long driveway and onto the 2-lane road. Radio off, windows down, Virginia air thick and warm. Drew drove with one hand, his other hand held mine. You okay? No, but I will be. We didn't talk for 45 minutes. The road unspooled through green fields and small town intersections. The sun was starting to go orange at the edges. I cried somewhere around mile 20, not the angry kind, the grieving kind. Quiet tears that come when you finally set something down that you've been carrying too long. I didn't lose $30,000, I said. I lost the family I thought I had. Drew didn't answer. He found my hand at the red lights and held it until they turned green. By the time we got home, my phone had 19 missed calls. Mom 7, Dad 4, Megan 2, Cousin Rachel 3, Uncle Jim 3. I turned the phone off, set it on the kitchen counter face down. The counter was laminate, off-white with little brown flecks, not marble, not gold, nothing that sparkled under pendant lights, but it was mine. 1 week after the barbecue, Cousin Rachel texted, "I had no idea what really happened, Andrea. I'm so sorry I told you to let it go." Uncle Jim called Drew. That took real courage. "Tell Andrea we're with her." Martha reported that Mom hadn't spoken to her since the barbecue. Dad came by Martha's house alone one afternoon, dropped off a casserole dish. Didn't stay. Didn't say much. 3 weeks after the barbecue, an envelope arrived at our apartment. Inside a check for $5,000. Dad's handwriting on the memo line. "I'm sorry, more to come." I set the check on the kitchen table next to my phone, opened the banking app. The wire confirmation was still there. 30,000 sent, 5,000 returned. 5 months after the lie, Mom sent nothing. No check, no letter, no call, no apology. Megan deleted every Instagram post of the kitchen, all of them gone. She didn't text me, didn't call. I imagined her scrolling through her own profile, tapping delete on photo after photo, watching her dream kitchen disappear from the feed one post at a time. I blocked Mom's number, kept Dad's for now. Not because I'd forgiven him, because his check and his 2-word apology were at least pointed in the right direction. It wasn't enough, but it wasn't nothing. Drew and I kept saving $2,500 a month, same as always. The promotion helped. By September, we were at 102,000. By November, 115. By December, right on schedule, we crossed 120. Same number, same goal, different people than the ones who'd started. December 14th, a Wednesday, 38 degrees outside and a thin frost on the windshield. We sat at a long table in a title company office. Drew on my left, our realtor across from us, a stack of papers between us. I signed my name 43 times. Drew signed 43 times. The notary stamped everything. Then the realtor reached into her folder and pulled out a small envelope. She slid it across the table, 2 keys on a plain metal ring. I picked them up, held them in my palm. They were heavier than I'd imagined, or maybe I was just finally paying attention to the weight. "Congratulations," the realtor said. "It's yours. 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths, a yard with a chain-link fence that we'd replace in the spring. A street that dead-ended into a park, not the house we'd lost in March. A different one, smaller, older, better. Nobody from my family was there. Martha sent flowers, a big arrangement of sunflowers and daisies with a card that said, 'You did it.' Dad mailed a card. 'Congratulations.' Dad, no money inside, just the card. Mom sent nothing. That evening, Drew carried the first box through the front door, set it in the middle of the living room. The floors needed refinishing. The kitchen had laminate countertops and a stove from 2011. The faucet was chrome, not gold. No marble, no pendant lights, no waterfall island. It was the most beautiful room I'd ever stood in. Drew looked around, hands on his hips. We did it. I held the keys tight enough to feel the teeth pressing into my palm. Yeah, we did. I learned something that year. The people who love you don't need a script to ask for help. And the ones who do, they're not asking, they're taking. That's my story. $30,000, $1 group chat, and a barbecue nobody forgot. If this reminded you to trust your instincts when something doesn't add up, good. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.